Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban.
And follow me, Scott Fontana, at Scott_Fontana.
And as always, you can follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere you listen.
Really recommend it. I highly recommend this read.
And as always, we're going to talk judging in MMA, so make sure you're brushed up on that criteria.
So, Dan, we are recording separately today by virtue of, the Giants just kind of went a little too late for me to get over to you in time.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you could have wrote that story in the first quarter, and that'd be it.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's not much left to it.
Well, they continued to be terrible, so there was more to say.
I guess. But
Football didn't go either of our way this weekend, my friend. So we can commiserate on terrible football.
On to next week. At least I get the opportunity to play against the Cardinals to redeem ourselves.
Yeah, that's not fair. You actually get like a real nice soft landing. I don't get that. We have to play the freaking Saints next week.
Yeah, another tough division game for you.
It is. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing them because I like to play the Saints, but also I would prefer to play the Cardinals.
Yeah. I mean,
so there's that.
Cardinals had their best game of the year anyway. So
yeah, they're terrible.
In a loss.
They are very bad. They will be super bad.
But we're not here to talk about football.
We're not?
No, we're not.
Oh, fine. Whatever.
There's more shocking than the Giants losing 40-0.
Debatably.
To me was Sean Strickland winning the UFC middleweight championship.
Oh, I don't know. I think we all predicted this. I remember distinctly saying on last week's episode, Sean Strickland is going to destroy Israel Adesanya. You know I said that.
Yeah.
Don't check the episode to verify. Just take me at my word.
I'm in shock, and I want to take everything back. You proved me wrong, dude.
No, in all seriousness, yeah, he made me look silly because I really did not see a path for him to win. Especially like you got to give everybody that puncher's chance, right? But like, you didn't think the puncher's chance was going to be necessarily a very even a very high percentage look against Israel Adesanya. And sure enough, not only wasn't not a puncher's chance, but he really just took it to him for almost the entirety of 5 rounds. Save for second round, he more or less just gave away to Israel Adesanya.
The one stat that ended up getting posted is he only landed like 11 out of like 100 head strikes. That's kind of crazy.
He really wasn't looking for it, I think, was the weirdest part. I mean, he was definitely trying to punch up there, but like he wasn't committing to it in the same way. He was mostly content to just try and like kick the legs and, maybe go for the body a little bit too. But it was a lot of, the middle and lower regions, and that those are very good ways to try and win a fight, but it wasn't working and it wasn't adding up to anything that would work later. We weren't seeing some sort of building up to something later with Adesanya. We were watching him fight in a way that wasn't effective enough, and slowly and steadily, by the time we're at the end of round 4, we're like, there's no way Adesanya can win a decision. I mean, I thought rounds 3 and 4, in retrospect, really just 3, were closer, but it doesn't matter. Like, this was not a fight that looked like Adesanya was in it.
Mm-hmm. It was. I don't know where he was. It was strange to see that. I don't know if he wasn't hyped for the fight or if Sean just took it to him. Maybe you didn't expect to be going backwards for 25 minutes.
There's a billion factors. Obviously, it could be a billion reasons. There's been speculation out there like maybe he's just a little too active and needs to give himself some time for once. And I think I've started to subscribe to the idea that, yeah, maybe he just needs to take a little time off. He is very, very, very active for a championship level fighter in modern mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
I know you love that, but it eventually kind of can catch up to you.
Strickland's just as active.
Sure, but it's not the same.
Period.
Strickland is fighting Nasruddin Imavov and Abus Magomedov, whereas Israel Adesanya has fought everyone who's the best after him at middleweight for 4 years now.
Yeah, he's had 16 fights or something since he came along
in the UFC
in 5 years. Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I think it's 16. I read that somewhere before.
All right. So, well, if you read it, then it must be true.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to confirm with you because I didn't confirm it myself.
I don't have it offhand.
I just took it.
How about you stall How about we stall for time? You do a song and dance, and I'll figure out the answer for you. Just do a tap dance for me. Da 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 yeah da 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 da. Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
He's 13-3, and he's also 1-2 in his last 3, or 4-3 in his last 7.
All right.
For what it's worth. Now, 2 of those guys are larger men. You know, he lost to Alex Pereira. He lost to Jan Blachowicz up at weight too. Sean Strickland is a former welterweight. He is not a small guy by any stretch. I think he's probably really just a middleweight. He really is just, that's his division. But he's not a large guy, so it's not like somebody just outsized him or something like that. He just didn't look right. He wasn't in the fight. He wasn't doing the things that we're used to seeing. There was no sort, like, he wasn't like some sort of striking virtuoso that we've talked about and heard about and had told to us a billion times by, Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier and all these people. That's not who showed up the other night.
No, definitely not. This is I would say it's worth showing for sure that we've seen.
What I want to know is, what do you think of the idea that maybe did we miss something about Sean Strickland? Like, what is it that we missed about him? Like, because it can't just be that Adesanya just wasn't there, because Strickland did deliver.
What we missed was Strickland is very good at what he does, which is throw a jab and a right hand, which we watched for 25 minutes. And what blew me away was the start of round 5. They got a close up of him, and it's like, I don't know if this guy's even sweating right now. It looked like he was just sparring out there. Like,
well, he really doesn't like waste movement, That's
right.
One thing about him that kind of strikes me is, like, he's not out there doing anything unnecessary.
He gets out of the way really well, what I noticed. And he didn't really care what was coming back at him. So it could be true what he was saying in the post-fight, that he felt like he was fighting an amateur. Like, he didn't understand what the big deal was.
Maybe.
He just went there. He just kept walking forward, punching him. I was shocked.
But not only that, like, Strickland isn't necessarily known for the most powerful of punches. Like, obviously he hurt Abus Magomedov earlier this year, and I think we already spoke a while ago about the fact that he kind of was overmatched. Magomedov really didn't deserve to have that fight. It was a little lower in standing for Strickland to really be taking at that point. So the fact that he did it to him is not really surprising to me. But Strickland to do it here, where he's landing, and when he's landing, a lot of them are real crisp lands, and it's not just like, oh, he's touching him. I know it's middleweight and they're getting bigger, it's not just like down at bantamweight, but even though those guys can hit hard too. But it was definitely a harder punching Strickland, a more committed striker Strickland, I think, to his power than I think we've really seen. Would you agree to that? Do you think I'm crazy here? Or?
No, I mean, well, like the Magomedov seemed like death by 1,000 cuts, kind of.
Well, Magomedov just faded. He straight up faded.
Yeah,
he lost the first round, Strickland.
But Izzy never got hurt after the first round, so he was fresh when he got hurt. So he did stick. He must have put some more behind it. Cleaner lands, maybe. Better. What's Connor say? Precision is where it's at. Not necessarily
He's all about
power.
that precision. Yeah, so, absolutely.
I mean, I guess not a striking expert.
I did see a video shared this afternoon. It was I can't remember who shared it, but it was of Strickland watching Alex Pereira, because obviously they were doing some training, some sparring and that kind of thing, and working with each other in the last year plus since they had actually fought. And it looked like, or I believe what was said is that he was trying to teach him a little bit more how to, like, really sit on his punches. And I wonder if it had anything to do, maybe not necessarily that specific one lesson, but just the idea that, hey, you need to kind of put a little bit more oomph into your strikes rather than just putting them out there. It did look different, because we've seen the song and dance from Sean Strickland before. We've seen him win 5-round decisions where he didn't look this good. Yeah,
he does have a lot of finishes on his record, though. I mean, obviously not at the UFC
not as much
level,
lately, not against the higher level of opponent.
Yeah.
So
you're saying Pereira and Sean Strickland shared a chicken parm.
I don't understand.
Much like Wells and Volpe. Once Volpe had that chicken parm, changed his stance just a tad bit.
This is a Yankees reference? What are you doing?
He started raking a little bit.
Dude, the Yankees aren't even going to win and get to 500. What are you doing?
Well, that's what it is. They shared a chicken parm.
All right, I think we need to move on. The other question I wanted to ask about Adesanya, though, is his best work behind him, do you think?
I don't know if it's behind him. I just think he's not the next coming of Anderson.
No, I never thought that
So, I mean, a
necessarily.
lot of people did.
I know it's
So,
just a narrative. I think that's one of those things the UFC is always going to try and do is put out there that, hey, let's compare him to this guy that you might remember as being really great because he could be great too. And now you don't watch Anderson, but now you can watch this guy, and maybe we'll just make you forget about that other guy before. Like they did it with welterweight with Kamaru Usman. Like, is he going to be greater than George St. Pierre? And it's like, no, sorry, this is not a disrespect to Kamaru Usman, but George St. Pierre did some freaking amazing things in this sport that are going to be really hard to equal or surpass. Sometimes people are just at another level and you can't get there, but you can be pretty darn good in your own right.
yeah. Well, he's great, but
Oh, sure.
yeah,
No,
he's
and I think both Usman and specifically because we're talking about Adesanya, they are great fighters and the all-time type of great fighters, but they're also very distinctly not number one in their divisions all time. You can appreciate what they're doing now, but what was done before them by their predecessors that formerly held their belts, I think is next level. And we're not maybe part of that is that the skill gap has closed now. Maybe that's a lot of it. I think there's a lot better talent throughout, top tens of the weight classes than there used to be. So that there is a skill gap narrowing that has happened. But, Sean Strickland didn't just, do a Matt Serra.
right.
He
Yeah,
didn't go out there and just land on him and quickly and kind of take advantage and that it was over.
there's
He
no
did that.
fluke at all.
Adesanya survived it. And then he still went out there, even after losing the next round, and took it to him. And by the fifth round, I thought was, other than that, like obviously there was that swarm in the first round, and that was the highlight of the fight. But the rest of that round, really nothing happened. I thought round 5 was a more complete, better round from Strickland than the first round.
It was weird to see Izzy. He had to know he was down, and
Absolutely.
he had to know he was down, and he didn't fight like it in the 5th. So that was weird too.
It was very strange. The whole experience was extremely strange. When he drops Adesanya, my eyes bulged. Like I could feel them bulge. And actually, at some point later on, they were showing the replays, of course, of the punches from different angles, and you could see. I want to say it was Brittany Palmer. You can see her eyes bulge out too when it happens. She's like, "What?" Now, was she like surprised that it happened, or just surprised that it happened because it was a fight? I don't know, but the reaction she gave was very similar to the way I felt.
Yeah, I avoided sport. I was working, so I had to watch later on. I didn't get to watch it as it happened. Yeah,
Dealing drugs.
I was dealing poker tournament, and the only thing I had was one of our group chats. You sent the gift that said, "Did we just see that? Did that just happen?" And I was like, "Oh man, I got an idea of what happened, but I'm not really sure. I'm turning off social media, and then I'm just gonna go watch the event."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, did that just happen?" So
it took a while. Like honestly, like as it happened, I'm still like stunned and flabbergasted and all that. And you saw several people on social media. I think this actually broke something in the mind of Caposa because he was having a lot of trouble accepting this. And I'm just cracking up. I'm like, I think it really broke Caposa. He couldn't understand a world in which Israel Adesanya got taken pillar to post more or less by Sean Strickland of all people.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, as a fan base, we slept on Sean Strickland a little bit, I suppose.
I mean, that's at least part of it. I think the other part of it is, we didn't necessarily expect Adesanya to not look like this. But yeah, I mean, it's both. I don't want to take away from Strickland in this particular area, very specifically this particular area. But there is the component where Adesanya, like, he just didn't fight right. He didn't fight like what we're used to. So it's a combination of both. It was a perfect storm. It happened for him. They want to do the immediate rematch.
Unfortunate for Drakus.
Yeah, well, you know what? Dana wasn't keen on it anyway. You know how he feels about people who pass on, opportunities and stuff. So apparently he was hurt, but Dana sometimes just gets in a mood and he's like, I don't like this. It's over. This guy sucks.
Finished.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I'm sure it's going to be next. I think it'd be smarter. Here's what I would actually do. I would say Sean Strickland versus somebody else. It could be Cannonier. It could be the winner of Costa and Chimaev. It could be Duplessis. That's fine with me too. Do that. And then after that fight, Adesanya fights the winner for the title again. I'm okay with that. I don't think it's necessary because we're talking about, again, somebody who's actually lost 2 out of 3 title fights now. But if you want to do that, I think it makes much more sense than just having Adesanya fight again 4 months from now to fight the same thing. It's just give it a rest.
Yeah, but just give it a rest. I agree, actually.
Mm.
So,
quick note before we get into contested rounds, which this was not a controversial night in any way from the scoring perspective. So if you were looking for that, please keep listening, but you may not be happy that there's not like, a big, no one's calling for the judges' heads. So we
they're
can't
not?
we can't talk anybody off a ledge. What's up?
They're not calling?
I didn't see that.
I might be.
Oh.
I won't be,
Oh, all right.
but I might be.
But you might.
I won't be,
So
though.
stick around and listen. But anyway, this was, of course, this was in Australia. We have noted some statistics that point to Australia being a little further behind on the whole with their officials in judging fights at the UFC level compared to other regions and areas of the world and that kind of thing. How do you think they did overall before we get into the actual round?
They're fine. Did a good job.
I thought it was a pretty solid, non-controversial night in Australia, and we just don't get a whole lot of that. Or I guess it was an afternoon in Australia, but a morning and afternoon. But for us it was nighttime, so that's what counts because America.
Yeah, I think they got to do Sunday twice. Those judges.
Wait, what?
They got to do Sunday twice.
What do you mean they got to do Sunday twice?
Yes, during the event was Sunday in Australia.
Yeah.
And then when they fly back to the States or the UK, they get to do Sunday again.
I guess so.
Assuming they flew back the next
Unless
day.
they flew back a day later.
Yeah, possibly. But still.
And not the ones who live there, because they live there.
No, the ones that live there did Monday the day after.
But yeah, like you said, it was kind of a mix. There was we had some American officials. Well, one American official. We had Eric Colon. We had some UK officials with David Leatherby and Mark Collette, right? And then I believe the rest were locals.
We had Clemens Werner, wasn't he on there?
Oh, Clemens Werner, yes. Excuse me. Yes, you're right. Clemens Werner from Germany. Yeah. So yeah, there was an international flavor here. That probably helped a little bit to have more international judges flown in than I feel like normally we have in Australia. But that's a good thing. I mean, it's not that they need to replace the Australian judges, but I think the more they can work alongside of experienced judges, it makes sense to me that things can be rubbed off, connections can be made, people can learn things from one another, and hopefully the quality of the judging overall improves in general anyway. So yeah, it was nice to see. And then we didn't have a very controversial night as it was. We also had a pretty solid rate of unanimity. 20 out of 25 rounds were unanimous. No 8-9 splits, so we're all just talking about 5 contested rounds of who won. And weirdly enough, we're only talking about 3 fights. 2 of them were unanimous decisions in which all 3 scorecards were the same number, but we had different rounds that got flipped by one judge or another judge in the other fight. So we've got 5 rounds to discuss, Dan. And what do you want to lead with?
Well, as long as you know they're unanimous, Scott.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Someone decided to correct me. Well, not correct me, but to, I guess, educate me on what unanimous means on social media. And I really did appreciate that they took the time to teach me what that word means. Because, yeah. There's just no people are stupid on social media.
Yeah. All right, let's start with Radke and Blood Diamond.
Okay. All right. Charlie Radke, who... Yeah, he made some friends in Australia.
He was ready to go.
People need to stop talking sometimes.
Hey, good for DC to just walk out.
That was great.
He's like, all right, see you later.
Both times, because it happened twice with another person who's in contested rounds today. We'll mention them later. But yeah, so let's start with Charlie Radke, who, yes, he got the win over Blood Diamond, Mike Mathetha, 29-27s all around, because there was a point deduction in the third round. But we're going to be talking about rounds 1 and 3 because one judge, local, I'm pretty sure, Christopher Allende, was the out judge in 2 rounds, but it was enough that he had the same score. So let's start with round 1 of those. What happened here?
Yeah, it was a pretty low output round. Much of it was spent on the cage. Blood Diamond did land a solid shot early that stumbled Radke. That was quickly answered by a solid shot that stumbled Blood Diamond, which led into the cage clinching situation that we saw forever. Diamond is landing a couple knees to the gut. When they do break, Radke lands a good shot. Diamond throws a Zohan head kick. Have you ever seen the Zohan? He doesn't need much distance to land a head kick.
Dan, I've seen the Zohan.
Yeah.
And I hate these puppies.
Radke answered with a combo. I think it's quite a low output round. A lot of ineffective offense throughout this round. I think Radke wins it. I'm not married to it. It's whatever.
Playing the field. I like that. I actually went the other way. I gave it the Blood Diamond. I thought that, again, I'm also not married to it. I'm married to a woman, not a round. But yeah, I thought he landed just a little bit more effectively with the cleaner shots he was landing when they were still at distance. But, you want to go the other way, be my guest. That's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing controversial here. Round 3 is the other one that flipped the other way. So in this case, it's the same judges going one way and the other. We already mentioned it was Chris Alliendi was the out judge. Mark Collette and David Leatherby had this first round, by the way, for Charlie Radke. And again, they're both the same in terms of where they were in the majority and minority for the next round. But what happens in round 3?
Again, most of this round is fought in the clinch, but before that, Diamond lands a head kick. Couple strong elbows that swell up the eye pretty good. There's a pretty good mouse over Radke's eye. Radke does have some moments. Was a bit more active in the clinch this round, landing some punches this time, not just holding on for dear life. I just think Diamond was a bit more impactful. So going with him. Real quick before we go on, I want a little adventures in DC. Beginning of the round, he's talking about, I wouldn't do this clinching. It hasn't worked for 2 full rounds. After a break, due to the low blows, there was quite a few of them.
I believe it was, was it 3?
There was probably 4 or 5.
Yeah, but it was enough that it got Blood Diamond to lose a point.
But anyway, DC goes, see, this is exactly what I would be doing. I would be clinching against the cage, especially after I got that big mouse over my eye. It's like, he said 2 different things in the same round, DC. I thought that was funny.
He's covered his bases, man. That way he's never wrong. Yeah.
Anyway,
sometimes you gotta play the field, right? You can't just be married to something,
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I got Blood Diamond this round, 10-9.
Yeah, I also did that. I feel like this round I feel a little bit more like I like the round better for Blood Diamond than I do for Radke, but it's also not crazy, I think, to go the other way.
Okay.
It's just I feel more strongly about this one than I did about the first round.
Okay, fair.
That's really all I mean by that. But that being said, even if we give the round to Blood Diamond, it's not 10-9, it's 9-9.
Yeah.
Because of the lost point. Alliendi gave what amounted to a 10-8 because of the point deduction to Radke. But if we look at it the way I have it, I would actually have ended up giving this a 28-28 and making it a draw.
You had Blood Diamond in both rounds, so yeah. I mean, that'd be a fine score.
I think it's fine. I no issue with the fact that Radke gets the win here. I think it's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. And realistically, the guy who's landing way too many groin strikes, you don't necessarily feel good about him getting a win. So sure, this works out. But yeah, I don't know. This is Blood Diamond really just doesn't seem like a fighter who's meant to be on the UFC roster right now.
Along with a lot of them, but
sure.
Yeah, we're not.
But him in particular, I think that there's way too much of just, well, we have a connection because of Israel Adesanya and gets to kind of get his guys in there.
It's over.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't. We can move on to the next fight, right? Which again, same scenario where we have one judge who's the out judge 2 times, but by virtue of the way things are scored, he ends up having the same final number as the other 2 judges. And that fight is in Jamie Malarkey's unanimous 29-28 victory over John McDessie. Now we're talking about rounds 2 and 3. So let's start with round 2.
Round 2, very close round. I thought both landed solid shots on each other. I think Malarkey's probably ahead slightly most of the round. Good kicks, but then, McDessie's still keeping up with him, landing some solid strikes of his own, keeping it competitive, and then he lands that big right that sits Malarkey down, and I think that steals it, puts it over for him. I didn't think Malarkey had a big enough lead to withstand that, so I'm 10-9 McDessie.
I also am 10-9 McDessie. I think the damage here at the end is what really puts you over. I think you kind of have to go that way almost, even if the numbers probably lean toward Malarkey enough that it's like, okay, sure, I can kind of see it, but I I think you got to give that extra weight to the more impactful strikes, and it wasn't like a total shutout before then, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I like a Makdessi round here. It's not indefensible to go the other way, but I do like Makdessi just like you. So we saw it the same way as judges Mark Christie, who I believe is a local judge, and David Leatherby, who I mentioned is from the UK. It was Eric Colon who had this one for Malarkey. And that score is Malarkey. No, it's not that. It's not that bad. It's not that. It's not my favorite score. I don't love it. It's
Right.
defensible, and that's really what it comes down to. It is defensible.
All right.
And who knows? Maybe the strikes that are looking less to me on TV look more in person. I don't know. It just feels like that high point. It's not like one high point wins a round, but I think it swayed it for me. I felt pretty good
Yeah.
about
All right. That's fair.
it. Yeah. Round 3.
Very close round. I thought this was neck and neck. Both had good offense. I think most of the impact, or most of the better impact, is coming from Makdessi's side. Malarkey's nose is busted open pretty good. Very, very close round. On the impact, I'm going Makdessi 10-9.
I also am going Makdessi 10-9. It's this one's close. This one's close, but I definitely liked the damage that was being put on Malarkey here. I feel like I could walk away from this fight saying rounds 2 and 3 are for Makdessi, and I'd feel very good about it. I would feel good about myself and this score. I'm honestly a little surprised that people weren't, not that they should have been crazy about it, but that they weren't crazy about it as far as like going nuts over the way the fight was scored. Because I think you can look at this one as, let's say, a more casual watching at home observer and say, well, Makdessi should have won. And that didn't really happen.
I guess the money was on Malarkey.
Yeah, it's
So
probably what it was, right? It's always where the bets go. But no, I'm glad that we didn't have a craziness over, because it's you can get to a Malarkey win. It's totally defensible, but I feel better about Makdessi having won this one, and it would have been better if he won, I think, in my opinion. But what does that mean though? Because Eric Colon was the out judge here, and even though I didn't see the Malarkey score as much in round 2, we both sided with him in this case. What does that mean for Judge Colon?
Couchside override.
That will only make its way to South Jersey if they convert to the Taylor Ham ways.
Okay, we're holding it hostage.
Yeah, absolutely. I refuse to actually mail it. Not that I trust the mail service, but either way, I'm not even gonna drive it down there. I was in South Jersey recently, and we're not even gonna try. Admit what it's called. Taylor Ham.
Yeah, Taylor Ham.
and I want like an official declaration. I'm not talking about Judge Colon. I want the whole state to acknowledge there's only one way to call it.
All right.
It's protest. It's protest. We got one more round though, and this one was the only one on the main card. Manel Kape got the win over Felipe Dos Santos. Great fight.
This was a great. I wonder if this got fight of the night. Oh, I didn't check the bonuses, but
I'm pretty sure it did. I'm almost positive it did. But yes, great fight. He got the win though over Dos Santos, 229-28 and a 30-27 for Kape. But we were split on round 3. Everything was looking like him, at least more, even in a competitive fight. It was still going Kape's way until we get to round 3, where we start to see a little bit of a different complexion to the action.
Yeah, I think Dos Santos, I think he felt he needed a finish here. Came out looking for it. He was landing good shots this round.
He knew he needed a finish.
Oh, he knew?
I mean, he didn't actually know, but yeah, he was down.
I do think it's a pretty close round, but Kape is answering the shots, and then he is landing some more of his own when he doesn't have to counter. He's landing big combos, heavy shots, getting some big reactions. As competitive as Dos Santos was, I do think it's a Kape round. It was very back and forth. You can make the case for it, but I'm on Kape's side, 10-9.
Yeah, I also got Kape here. I just felt that even when Dos Santos was landing heavy and successfully, I thought that Kape was kind of better able to roll with it than when it would go the other way.
Well, that's what I'm saying with the reactions. Like when Dos Santos got hit, is like you knew he got hit. He had to reset.
It wasn't just that. It was really Well, it was like you said. It's really the resetting and the fact that Kape. Yes, it would. You could tell it affected him, but also it did not get him off of what he was doing. He was able to stick in there and go, and I think that goes a long way with the way I interpret the way you're kind of supposed to be scoring exchanges like that. Maybe that's a flawed way of thinking. I don't know, but and I'm open to correction, but that's kind of the way I've operated on it, is that, yeah, if you're able to kind of roll with it and not just be like out on your feet but still throwing punches, he was able to really come back and do some real work back.
And I think another example of this would be in the we had no split rounds in that fight. Volkov and Tuivasa. Tuivasa was landing heavy leg kicks
in round one, yeah,
but
especially.
Volkov, he wasn't giving big reactions. He just kept firing back, smashing to the face.
Sure.
And it's like, I mean, I know the broadcast team is saying these are heavy kicks and they're effective, but
I don't doubt that.
We're not seeing the effectiveness, so to speak, in form of a reaction. Like Volkov just eating it and just, stoic and just keeps punching. So,
and it's not necessarily making him distinctly alter, his stance or the way he's attacking. If it's hurting him, he's masking it pretty well.
Yeah,
and that goes a long way.
So,
but that's to say, to get back to this fight, we did both score this one for Kopp.
Right.
So we ended up again on the same side as Eric Colon, who was the out judge here. It was judges again, David Leatherby and Clemens Werner. They had this one for Dos Santos. Totally defensible. Absolutely defensible. Just didn't see it that way. But what does that mean again for Judge Colon?
Couch side override. That you'll never see without that admittance.
Taylor Ham. That's all I have to say. See, that's why I know I could trust a judge like Dave Torelli. A nice North Jersey judge. Definitely when he goes to the deli, he's like, give me that Taylor Ham.
There's nothing worse.
I'm only assuming. I've never met the judge, but I can only assume he knows the right way to order a sandwich.
You ever come across the rare North Jersey native that calls it pork roll?
Yeah, well, they're from South Jersey usually.
But I'm saying it's some from the north.
No, but they're probably probably migrated from the south to the north, right? Like my buddy, I grew up with him. He lives in Toms River now. I don't think he orders Taylor Ham, but if he did, he would call it Taylor.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the Taylor Ham fries at that one restaurant.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the one we're talking about. You know the guy we're talking about.
Yeah.
That does sound delicious, and I'm going to make sure I get those at some point.
Next time you go to Seaside, that's where it's at. Toms River. It's on Toms River to Seaside. It's in that whatever that road is, 35, Highway 35, I think.
Probably not going to be there until next year, but I will. You will need to remind me, sir. I think I need to actually remind me on this one.
I will.
Yeah, but that was it for the Taylor Ham. I mean the contested rounds. Yeah, just 5 contested rounds, but again, I don't think there's anything truly controversial. There's a few we felt maybe more strong than others, but also not defensible. Nothing crazy. And again, I'm very just stunned at how subdued everybody was with regard to the Malarkey McDessie fight. Just because I think if there was ever a fight, I would understand where people would start to get a little more uproarious about it. It's when there are the bigger moments and the more clear, visible damage that we had on Malarkey's face compared to McDessie, and it didn't manifest. But I'd like to think it's maturity, but I think you're right. That probably was just the money was on Malarkey.
We might have had something if Blood Diamond got the nod because the visual looks like Radke's winning.
And also because the broadcast has already declared that it would be weird if Blood Diamond got the win.
Yeah. So
that's part of it too. The broadcast narrative really can shape the conversation in a very distinct way. Maybe that's what I don't know. But anyway, that's it for contested rounds. We did have 7 finishes on this card, not in the main event and none of the 3 fights we just talked about, but just about everything else was a finish. 3 KOs, TKOs, 4 subs. 4 of the fights ended in round 1. What was your favorite, my friend?
Volkov Ezekiel choke over Tai Tuivasa.
I figured you'd go
from
there.
The mount. That was pretty sick. It looked like Tai tapped twice in that.
I didn't see twice. It looked like he was thinking about it at one point.
He used both hands. He taps with the right,
and
then he taps with the
left hand. You know what? I did think about that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you bring that up, maybe it's possible he just did that.
Yeah. It's like
people gotta they have to embrace the saying the word tap if they want to get out. Just put it out there. I mean, sometimes you can't. Maybe your mouth is not available. I don't know. If I really said I want out of this, I'd make it as abundantly clear as I possibly could to a guy who needs to stop the other guy. It's different when you're rolling with somebody. It's like you tap, you can figure out a way to get their attention, but you're relying on somebody else to say, all right, so you got to get a middleman's attention here. So do everything you can. Tap with both hands, use your feet, yell, whatever. Just do something. Get their attention.
Well, Babalu didn't care.
That's true.
Babalu did not
God,
care at all.
that's a deep cut. Well, no, he had to punish him, right?
Yeah.
He called him an MFer.
Yep.
David Heath, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Called me an MFer. And then he never fought the UFC.
And that's it. That's all she wrote.
Amazing.
What was your favorite?
Oh, me? Yeah, I probably should say what my favorite was. I mean, Ezekiel was fantastic, but I'll go another way. I liked seeing Gabriel Miranda punish Shane Young's weight miss. He missed by 3.5 pounds or something like that. Rear naked choked him unconscious in 59 seconds.
Mhm.
That was good.
Yeah, that was
good.
solid. Yep.
That's another guy who seems like he always ends up on these Australia cards, but maybe the place on the roster isn't as meritocratic, or that's not even a real word. I made that up, but I think you get my gist. Meritocratic. Now, what's your word of the week already? I forgot what
Prescient.
Prescient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prescient. That's courtesy of our friend Aaron Bronstetter.
Yep.
Yeah. Who couldn't spell it right. He got there, but at least he gave you the word of the week. That was good.
Yeah. Still not quite sure what it means, but I can't remember.
Look it up. Anyway, that is it for UFC 293. We are looking ahead now to Noche UFC, UFC. I believe that's how you say it in Spanish.
Okay.
UFC.
So Noche UFC.
Growing up, didn't you in school? You had to learn the alphabet.
I
right?
took Spanish. I don't remember. I remember Nosotros is the most memorable word.
Well, I'm thinking of the alphabet. Like the alphabet was like a basic thing, but you had to learn that it was like it was A B C C D E F E H I J K L A M A N A N Y, and then I screw up from there. I think I did all right though. That was pretty good.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And if I butchered that, apologies to our Spanish-speaking listeners. But yeah, to get back to the actual point here, Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko, number 2. We do have an immediate rematch, and this one's more justified than the potential for Adesanya and Strickland. I think because Shevchenko really truly was an absolutely dominant champion, coming off an amazing run. Maybe looked less dominant in some of her recent fights than we had seen before, but nonetheless, still a total badass dominant woman in her division, getting knocked off by Alexa Grasso in a fight that she was winning up until the 4th round. It was 2-1 on the scorecards. We have this rematch here. Are you interested in this one?
Yeah.
Women's 125 title?
Of course. It's an exciting one.
It's also nice that we don't have to pay for a championship fight.
Hey.
Pay extra, excuse me. We are paying for ESPN Plus.
Oh yeah, that $5 or what? It's more than that now, right?
It's $95,000 now.
It's quite expensive.
Yeah. ESPN now
just
owns you.
I think it's a good fight.
Your whole life.
Good fight, warranted rematch for sure. The odds are much closer, but Valentina is still coming in as the favorite. Which I wanted to bring this up.
I think probably deservedly so, but yes, the fact that there is at least respect there on the odds is definitely good.
Which I wanted to bring this up before. I just real quick answer. Do you think Strickland comes in as the dog, no matter who he faces next, or no?
No, not no matter who he faces. I think he would still probably enter as the dog to Adesanya, although it might be a pretty narrow one. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of negative Adesanya reactions coming off of this.
I feel I feel against Dreykus they might make him underdog. So I don't know.
I could see that one being almost a pick'em, but I mean, realistically, who looked better more recently? I would say it was probably Strickland.
I don't know. Dreykus won pretty impressively over Robert Whittaker.
Yeah. I mean, was what Strickland did not impressive? I know.
No, it was. I mean, you win the
more
belt.
Impressive because you came away with it.
Yeah.
You came away from it saying, well, he didn't just catch him. He really did beat the
champ. Took it to him. All right. I think we went over this way too many times.
No, let's go over it 9,000 more times.
We are in Nevada, so this isn't a UFC Apex numbered event, though.
It is not. Noche UFC.
Yeah.
It's just laughing at me. Whatever, guy. Yeah, so being in Nevada, we're going to have, quality judging. We're not worried about that. We also had quality judging, like I said, in Australia. But to be fair, the main event was not staffed by any locals, which I think is, goodness, that might be a first in Australia off the top of my head. It was Eric Colon, David Leatherby, and Clemens Werner, who are some of the most experienced and I think top judges that the UFC likes to use. So that was a different feel, but probably going to be some combination of Sal D'Amato, Derek Cleary, and I don't know, Ron McCarthy or somebody like that. That's just my guess.
Yeah, probably something, maybe.
It's somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know who's actually working it, but hey, maybe I'm right. We'll see. Other fights on the card. I don't love the rest of the card, save for really just one fight. You put another fight, but I'm looking forward to obviously the Kevin Holland against Jack Della Maddalena fight at 170. That's a really good fight, and I think it's gonna be more telling about where Jack Della is than his last fight, which was a very last minute weird put together fight, right?
Yeah, that should be fun. I think that I do think there's a couple decent fights here that I'm looking forward to. I don't think it's
gonna be a terrible card, but yeah, like the one I really want to see is that.
Like I think Tracy Cortez and Jasmine Jusuda Vicious should be all right.
Sure.
Roman Kopylov and Josh Fremd is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that was the fight I almost put down, except then I saw middleweight and I said, well, maybe
not. Just because I want to see how he bounces back from a loss. Raul Rosas Jr., the 18-year-old Dana project, against Terrence Mitchell. See how he bounces back from a loss. So.
All right. I'm actually going to put down Rosas and Terrence Mitchell as my most likely for contested rounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going kind of gutsy here because I don't necessarily feel confident in it. I'm trying to go a little out of left field on this pick necessarily.
Okay, I'm going with Josephine Knutson and Marnik Mann. She was just on Contender Series. She didn't get the contract, but somehow she found her way into a late replacement fight. So
you mean that she was a human who was available?
Yeah, maybe she did get a contract.
That's
actually,
kind of how the UFC tends to do it.
I don't know. 6-0. See what I think she might have actually got that. I can't keep track of all the contracts he gives out.
That's why I don't watch them. It's like I'm gonna see these guys when they win in like a week, anyways.
But the thing is, the best is when DC's on commentary. He's very strict with the contracts. And then Dana gets up there and he's like...
He's got some very distinct ideas.
He's like, no, that's not a contract. And next thing Dana's like, yep, bring it on up here, kid. You're in the UFC. So I wish DC was in charge.
DC always has very distinct ideas about just about everything, doesn't he?
He's a fascinating human.
What a takedown is, how you win a round, who's getting the contracts. And then he's got two ways that he can go about it. See, this is what I would do in this situation, except maybe I would go the other way.
Yeah. I love him.
Good old DC.
All right, that does it for this episode of the Couchside Judges. We'll be back again next Monday to break down this card and all the rounds that go with it.
Yeah, we can do that. I have nothing else to do.
Maybe we'll get that perfect card we've been seeking.
It's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Thanks for listening.
Take care, y'all.